Well, welcome back to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. Thanks so much for joining us. I am, as always, Chat Show. You know, it's so nice to see you. It's been so very long. A week? It seems like forever. Those of you that are not joining us live and watching us after the fact, as it were, let us know at contact@kevinpollakschatshow.com how you're finding us. We'd like to start tracking your whereabouts. So if you could let us know where you are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays between noon and 4, that would be great. What? Pretty uneventful week that I had since I saw you last. Keep waiting, keep waiting, keep waiting. It's a game of hurry up and wait as the serious big news comes ever so slowly down the pike regarding the next phase of a portion of my career. So again, as much as I had hoped to have official news for you, perhaps next show. They're killing me one day at a time, Charlie. One day at a time. They take a piece of me and flush it away. But very exciting goings-on, allegedly. I will fill you in shortly. Welcoming back also Jamie and Sam. How were your uneventful week between last and now? Jamie, anything? Something?
I was just telling Sam that I was like, it wasn't an uneventful week until like the last 3 days, and then I did so much stuff in the past 72 hours, and now I'm exhausted.
Now you're exhausted. And it's all a lot of chores, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
My week was just busy throughout. I had a slew of auditions.
Did
Hopefully,
you?
I'll have some good news about them next week.
More
And,
possible good news.
More possible
It's
good news.
what we specialize on.
But I did get to do my ADR, my looping, additional sound recording for my episode of NCIS, which I got an air date on that.
Which NCIS?
The original.
It's just called NCIS?
It's just called NCIS. It's not NCIS, Los Angeles.
All right.
And that's November the 9th. So if you like me in short, quick bursts, that's the show to
Can you
watch.
give us a teaser? Would you mind acting out 5 to 15 seconds?
I would mind, because you can't give it all away for free, my friend.
Did you get top of show?
I'm not sure what that means.
Oh, if only you didn't. Well, all right. We'll look forward to that. November 9th.
November the 9th.
All right.
For those who don't catch this,
what is
as
the
it
time
live.
slot of a television show called NCIS?
It's on CBS.
I believe that's one of those procedurals.
I'm going to go ahead and say 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Wow.
Some one of those.
Holy shit. If you don't care,
8
Sam.
or 9 p.m.
If you haven't zeroed in on an answer, how can you expect our followers and listeners and
I
viewers?
thought you were going to say our little audience.
Our little audience.
Because that's got to be true. It's got to be 8 or 9 p.m. depending on what city you live in.
Oh, so it's in the 9 p.m. hour on your east and west coast, and then check your local listings in between.
Unless it's 8 o'clock, in which case it's only 8
If
o'clock.
I had sleep
for-
take cards, you'd get 100.
I know.
Oh my
You
God.
are giving me such grief.
Only because you're standing between me and my talking about my San Francisco Giants that just clinched a World Series berth last night.
Woo!
Woo! 2002, I believe, is when we were last in the World Series as a team, and by we, of course, you know that I own the team. That we were 5 outs away from winning that World Series, but the Los Angeles Angels pulled that victory off ultimately. So perhaps we'll fare better. But I went to high school with the longtime pitching coach, Dave Rags Righetti, for the San Francisco Giants, and we've been texting each other, me like a 9-year-old girl on Christmas morning. I can't imagine what he's going through on his end. Just the excitement of the day-by-day progress and how the team is done, and from a team that not a lot of people put any sort of faith or hope in, and here they are having beat the team that was supposed to win the whole pickle, Philadelphia, and beat them handedly, I might say, 4-2. Didn't even get themselves to a 7th game, did they? So ridiculously proud and excited about going up north to the World Series this coming week, if those tickets come in.
Who are you taking?
I am taking the San Francisco Giants. Well, who am I taking?
No.
You're all right.
To the game.
Oh, my brother, if you don't mind, who
What
lives
if
up
he's
there.
unavailable?
If my brother's unavailable,
What if a terrible accident
if
should
something
befall
should
him?
befall my brother, You're wondering where you are on the list?
Just out of curiosity.
7th.
Same as the billing on NC.
Same as the billing on NCIS. Bobby Morse bringing it home before on camera. He's swinging deep and way out of here. Yeah, you're in the same spot as the guest star credits on NCIS.
Fair enough.
3rd, I think that
Oh,
is.
fantastic.
Other big news. Anyway, so congratulations to Rags and the whole organization there in San Francisco, the players, the front office, everybody, and all the fans who, like myself, simply cannot believe the turn of fate this particular go-around. So let's go, Giants. I think that's it. Oh, wait. Yeah, the chat show, the very one you're watching, has been on a pre-order page at the Amazon.com for your DVDs, a rental and purchase, and your video on demand, and your digital download. And allegedly, it's going from pre-order to order as of today. It's still listed as a pre-order, I believe, but all the episodes, all the full library is now available to the 78 million unique views at Amazon.com on a monthly basis, or so I'm told. So that's awfully exciting. It's kind of a knighting for a show like this to have a crazy organization like Amazon say, we would like your library and we'd like to offer it to the public worldwide. And we said on the phone, who is this? So thank you, Amazon, and hope it all works well for someone, because I just have ridiculous doubts I'll ever see a dime.
You're way down on that.
Yeah, I'm 14th on that list. Gordon Brothers makes this fine, beautiful handmade hat. Pick yourself up one of them. Happy that they now love the show and on occasion send a hat. Tell you more about them, but go to Gordon Brothers, Goorin, Bros, BROS.com, and get yourself one, you bastard. It's time, ladies and Jews, for Ask Kevin.
Ask Kevin. It's always just a beat late.
Yeah, right? It's amazing. You would think that the hand would just be hovering.
You would think.
You would think it was waiting. He's got to say it eventually, right? All right, Ask Kevin. The first one coming to you by way of happy birthday, Dr. Chen. Was it last night officially, Dr. Chen? Today. I thought today was the day. Happy birthday to Dr. Chen. We would sing, but it's obnoxious, so we won't.
And we'd have to
He's
pay
got
the
a
rights.
fudgy, though. He's got a fudgy
Does he know that already?
Yeah.
Or is he just finding out now?
Right now.
You got to Fudgy the Whale, dude.
Well, you told I didn't know it was.
It's official.
Got a
fudgy.
You got your damn self a Fudgy the
Carvel
Whale.
wants to give you a Fudgy the Whale. It's a wonderful treat for the birthday.
Sammy,
Enjoy
give
your
us a
Fudgy
little
the Whale.
Carvel.
That's your Tom Carvel. We got Fudgy the Whale. We got Cookie Puss. We got lots of good ice cream cakes. The kids are going to love them. You'll be a real big hit. Come to Carvel.
Everybody from the East Coast is going, that's brilliant.
Thank you.
Everybody on the West Coast says, who's that old fucker? Jet Black Heart 83 writes in the Under Ask Kevin, you're about to be completely ripped off by Channel 2. Channel 2. Really? Are you my father? What's Channel 2? Pick a network, genius. Channel 2. They just made, in parentheses, 2 or 3 days ago, a Who Tweeted That on Extra or Entertainment Tonight, whichever is on Channel 2. Again, Channel 2. I think Channel 2 is only CBS in most markets, right? Yeah, it's got to be
I'm gonna
CBS.
get my grandma and ask her.
I know.
That's how she talks.
Channel 2
That'll do.
on the television. You're about to be ripped off, all of you, because they're stealing your game. Please, please, please
My game.
double check me.
Let's get this right.
They are doing it and are about to steal it, truly. So, Jamie, it's your game. You created Who Tweeted. It's an iPhone
Should
app,
I call
actually.
Attorney Edgar Snyder?
Let's call Attorney Edgar
391,
Schneider.
do what I want.
So we're asking you, the fine audience, to double, triple check and try to find out if this is in fact true, if Channel 2 is about to rip us off and doing their version of Who Tweeted That. They added the word that, and they think they can call it an original game.
Ooh, it's a good thing my best friend just passed the bar exam. She can represent me.
Is Lionel Hutz available?
Yes.
Jackie's done.
Some of these books are actually real.
They're actually useful.
So thank you for giving us that heads up. All right, this next Ask Kevin comes to us from Woman on Pause. What would you be doing if the stand-up thing hadn't panned out? Has it? My first question, has it? Oh, yes, it has. If it hadn't panned out, well, you know what? I started doing the stand-up in front of an audience of strangers at age around 11. So it was a lifelong thing, and by the time I became your so-called pro at age, I think, 19, well, actually 17, the first time I worked in a nightclub. Don't tell anyone. There was no turning back. There was my family, no one asked that question. You're the first person to ever ask, what are you going to do if this doesn't work out? Thank goodness no one in my life early on said, you schmuck, what are you going to do if this doesn't work out? So thanks for asking the question 30 years later.
My guess is you'd be teaching stand-up.
I'd be teaching stand-up because those who can't do, teach. You know what? There was no turning back. There was no other option. So thank me, and all the audiences who supported me.
Or Superman.
For not having to answer that question any more logically, because there really was no option for me ever.
That's true. You're not really skilled in anything.
I have no
else.
skills.
No.
I have no skills beyond the show business.
You and me
You
both.
can't multitask.
I can't multitask. I can barely drive.
Yes.
All right. And the last Ask Kevin, Pick Me by M. Gummy. Dear Kevin, I'm a longtime subscriber to the chat show. Are you? And thank you. I have for many nights stayed up watching the chat show. That's the second time you've said chat show in as many sentences. I would like to know, do you try to avoid expressing your opinions about politics since you are a celebrity? Many celebrities that I have seen, especially comedians, avoid talking about politics, especially now in this very hostile political climate. Sincerely, Mark Gummerson. P.S. Sarah Palin can suck it. P.S.S. Joanna Man. Really? All caps. Why?
Money truck.
We all must whore ourselves out to the man. Homie, don't play dat.
Is that post-script
Yeah.
instead of post-script?
Yeah.
PSS instead of PPS?
The-
That's the shit that gets caught in my brain.
Yeah. It's supposed to be PPS. Is that what you're saying, Sammy?
Yes.
Yeah, it's supposed to be PPS.
But let's not avoid the question.
Let's say pee-pee more.
But let's all say PP.
Let's not avoid the question.
There are a lot of comedians who talk about politics. I do a little bit in my act, starting with how much I'm looking forward to the George W. Library. Should be pretty amazing with those giant crayons and shit. And how I can't really blame W anymore because clearly it was the old Mr. Potter Cheney,
the penguin.
who I'm not saying Cheney was evil. I'm really not. I'm just saying it's possible that at one point it might have used. No, I'm not going to finish that. Yeah, so you're going to lose. Like they always say, half your audience the moment you get political on stage. One of the reasons I don't go public beyond my stand-up experience of doing comedy in front of an audience who paid to see me, but one of the reasons you won't see me on the television barking out political views is I don't think celebrities should have any sort of say that allegedly seems or is represented as being more important than you. If they want to back a certain cause or a certain candidate and they want to do everything they can to help bring attention to that cause or candidate, then fantastic. But their own personal opinions, I could care fucking less. Please, dear God, if in fact there is one, I would just keep it to yourself, all right? I'm of mind that believe in a cause and back it to the hilt, but your own personal opinions mean so very little. So I don't know if that's what you were saying. And then in terms of Joanna Man, we almost whore ourselves out to the man. My friend
Money truck.
M. Gummy,
Don't say Will Smith.
you have no idea. A, how right you are. B, that you don't know what you're talking about. Every now and then I'll try to explain what it means to have a career. And there's an interesting quote from my guest today in putting together his dossier where he was quoting a great theater legend, Burgess Meredith, as saying, Bobby, I don't turn anything down. Does that ring a bell? Yeah. Yeah, no. I warned him, you can't talk beforehand. He's nodding. So, Bobby, I don't turn anything down. Yeah, the truth is, in order to amass a career, at some point it becomes an occupation. And when it's an occupation, you must work. You must put food on the table, and you must often do things that you're not terribly proud of because it's an occupation. It's a ridiculously easy job, and at times I'm not even sure it is a job. In fact, if you ever hear an actor complain, slap them for a day and a half, because it is so much better than a so-called actual job in terms of workload. So Juwanna Mann was a case where, without question, I was fulfilling my obligation as an earner. And according to our co-worker and executive producer in charge of social media, I'm a damn good earner. And so, yes, I'm not afraid to walk straight up to a great many of the stats on my so-called resume and say, money, money, love, love. In the past couple of years, as the business changed, I've never worked so hard for so little. So where were the days of Juwanna Mann? Please bring them back, because homie would love to play that. And you're right, Sam. I should stop saying that Will Smith was playing the lead when I was hired, and then not so much when we were shooting. I should really stop pointing that out. And that is it for the Ask Kevin. Wrap it up. Lastly, we have the Larry King game, which my guest has been warned about. And so we have a winner. One of you has written in your very own Larry King game, and we encourage you to do so. If you'd like to win yourself a Kevin Pollak's Chat Show t-shirt, you simply write in your own version of the Larry King game, remembering the rules, bad Larry King impression, which does not apply to you when writing, although I would appreciate it. And then act out that moment where Larry loses it on the air and shares something that none of us want to know. And then go to the phones. The name of the city is funny sounding. God bless you. This one comes to us from Frank Paternetti. 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 It feels like a Paternetti. I got a thumbs up from the birthday boy. Thank you for joining us tonight. Here to talk gender reassignment surgery are Chaz Bono, Rich Eisen, and Alexis Arquette. I must admit I haven't been with this many trannies since the summer I spent hooking it in Prague. Painesville, Ohio, you're on the line. I like your style, sir. You got yourself a t-shirt. Please write us, because someone forgot. When submitting their Larry King game, write us again at contact@kevinpollakschatshow.com to tell us your shirt size and mailing address, because you have won yourself a prize. I may put off introducing my guest no longer. We just lost him to the slumber. In my youth, when I set my sights on a career in the biz they call show, there were a few things that inspired me and made me feel as though a world of fantasy at some point was out there, a world of dreams and a world of sort of chasing one's vision. If you were fortunate enough, you would get an opportunity like I saw in this case, the motion picture version of How to Succeed in Show Business Without Really Trying. It was one of the movies in my youth that lifted me out of my chair and made me think, the guy in this movie, the center, the star, if he'll allow me to suggest, is, in a sense, an everyman. I had discovered Jack Lemmon, one of my other favorite everymen. And here was a guy who was mesmerizing, but also within reach. The phrase everyman, to my young brain, thought I was transfixed, and it was easy for me to become that person on the screen. My fantasy could go as far as opposed to when I was watching, say, a Cary Grant, where I thought, well, I'm never going to have a shot at being the world's most handsome man. But if there was an everyman that was up there, captivating and being so damn mesmerizing, then perhaps I could do that too. I never did go on to learn how to sing and dance, or as of yet to captivate an audience quite like my guest today. But he was such a true inspiration at a wildly important point in my life as I was about to turn over the rest of my life to this business, that I am beyond thrilled to please welcome Mr. Robert Morse to this table. Thank you, sir, for being here. Let's just start there. An honor beyond the feeble attempt just made.
That was the most beautiful, beautiful introduction. I was mesmerized. For a while, I didn't know it was me. I was amazed. Did I do that?
I couldn't possibly.
No, because memory is a very strange thing.
Yeah.
You know, you go back to 1959, 60, 61. That's a long time. I'm one of the few people alive,
Lifetime ago.
today, I think, at that age. And to remember that memory of doing a show with Frank Lesser, you know, who wrote the music, and Abe Burrows, who directed it, and Bob Fosse.
Bob Fosse
was
choreography.
the choreographer. And
How old must Fosse have been at that point?
he had a cigarette in his mouth.
Sure.
He was about, I would say, 50s, in his 45, 50, somewhere in there. Hard to know. I remember having to learn, you know, you talk about dance. I studied dance in New York when I first went to New York. I went to Luigi's Jazz Center. It still is going on, and Luigi still teaches.
Is that right?
And he's very, very famous all over the world. I'm sure that there are people on the chat room that know of Luigi, or if they've taken a dance class or gone to New York. Anyways, I took dance classes because if I was going to be in a musical, you had to learn how to move a little.
Yeah.
You know, 5, 6, 7, 8, pas de bourrée, I do it all day, I don't know. Anyways, you had to take some classes just to keep your body limber at that age and at that time. So I got in shape, ready for a couple of musicals, take me along, but How to Succeed, I remember entering rehearsal. And it was a musical that was musically staged, not necessarily dancing, but musical numbers that were staged. You know, Coffee Break or I Believe in You, sung into a mirror. You know, learning how to throw the soap in the air and catch it, and learning how to bounce it off your arm and catch the soap and look in the mirror and go, and whether you believed it or not, or whether you really do believe, you know, and playing that kind of thing that you do so well. But anyways.
Well, you're 27, 28 years old?
So I went, yes, sir. And so I went into rehearsal, and I had to learn a number, Brotherhood of Man. There is a brotherhood of man, a benevolent brotherhood. Of man, a noble tie that binds all human hearts and minds into one.
You remember that piece of business?
Oh, I do.
Oh my, that's fantastic.
And I remember the director saying, "Take that out." Don't do that.
Now, if I may stop for a moment, when the great Abe Burrows says something like that, take that out.
No. He
was just kidding.
No. Well, no, he would say, I don't think you should. But Abe Burrows' funniest comment to me while I was in rehearsal or doing the previews of How to Succeed in Philadelphia. Sorry. And you remember them. They were once... Yes, but they lost.
They were supposed to go all the way.
And now you're going to get me that ticket to go to the game.
Yes.
I'm on the list.
You're second after my brother.
So anyways,
sorry, Sam. Sam was on the bus again.
We went to Philadelphia to do the show, and there's one scene where I have to go out the door and do something, and I found something that, what's wonderful about theater is that you have weeks to do it. And you can find things,
anything,
the last day of a show in 2 years. Do you know what I mean? You go, oh my God, why didn't I think of that 6 months ago? Or, you know, your mind goes that way. And I think your performance changes and grows through a lengthy run. Hopefully. And, you know, you always wonder, what was I like opening night? I'm sure I was okay and good and wonderful, and I did the job, and I don't need to use the word good, but I mean, I got away with it. And, but weeks later, you find, you begin to really see the furniture.
Yeah.
You really begin to see someone else. It isn't just, you're
craziness going
expansive.
through, yeah.
And that's what's wonderful to being on stage. And I found something going out the door, and the audience laughed. Now, oh, next night I went a little more with it, and they laughed more. And I forget what it was, but it was something. And I got a note from Abe Burrows. Not don't do that, but exit 5 minutes sooner. Wow! And I've never forgot that. I thought, and that's the way Abe Burrows was, and that was the day.
Wow.
They were kind,
Yeah.
and everything was done with humor.
Yes.
You know, there was no, at least in that show, there was no big pressure.
Right.
Abe was always humorous and fun, and would steer you in the right direction or what have you. I mean, he would recommend things to do to me that I'd say, Abe, that'll never work.
Right.
Abe, please, don't, I should do what? Oh, really? When Hetty comes in the door, you know, she's quite voluptuous, and she's my new secretary, and she goes, hi, I'm your new secretary. And I don't know what to do with my hands. Or,
How is that not a full meal?
Right, that's a full meal. And then he said, oh, great, say sir.
Oh, nice.
After up, sir. And I went, Abe, please, it just seems to me it's not going to work.
Oh.
And as I say it now to you, you may think it isn't going to work. But I went through that, and the music, and the lights, and camera, and not camera, you're on the stage. Sir, miss. So I said, sir, well, the house came down.
Did they?
And in the back of the hall, Abe, theater, back of the theater, Abe with the flashlight. So we had a lot of fun. Now, as far as Fosse was concerned,
Yeah.
he was a stickler. You know, not a stickler, but he was good. He was brilliant. He was a genius.
Right. And he knew
And
it.
I had to do Brotherhood of Man. There is a brotherhood, and do a lot of movement. And so he had to work with all the chorus behind me.
A lot.
A lot. Though dancers,
Right.
whom I love,
Yeah.
I've always been in love with dancers
Yeah.
all my life. I still am. There's something about the beauty of, anyways.
No, you're right.
So
There's an elegance to it when done a certain way that is absolutely captivating. You're right.
and so I was doing Brotherhood of Man. Now, all the dancers in back of me, and singers, some of them, could learn the steps like that. They're amazing.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8, bonk. And I've worked or been around some of the finest choreographers in American theater.
I would think so.
Gower Champion, I was choreographed by, and there's, what's the one that did Frankenstein? We Stumped the Corner.
The one that did the producers?
The one that did
It's gotta be, yeah.
Can't think of her name, maybe we'll come up with it. I should, because she did.
Get on your phone immediately.
But she did, I did Captain Andy
Right.
in Showboat.
Right.
And she was the choreographer of that. But anyways, they teach all the dancers and people like that, and they learn steps very fast. I'm amazed at how fast they can learn a whole routine.
Sure.
Well, I had to learn, and I couldn't go that fast. And
Right.
Bob Fosse would say, Bobby, I have to spend time with the gang back here to teach them different numbers, and I can't spend my time teaching you what I want, but my assistant
Wow.
knows all the steps. So I'm on Broadway at 47th Street, and they have these upstairs studios in the old days, and he says, go in the other room with my assistant, and you'll learn what I want you to do for Brotherhood of Man.
Right.
So I went in the other room, and the assistant was Gwen Verdon.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
The assistant was Gwen Verdon. Hi, you know, who was one of the pillars of Broadway and one of the strengths of everything young actors and actresses think about when they come to New York. That Gwen Verdon and a certain number of people are it.
Yeah.
You know, she was the it person with such talent, and here she was teaching Bob's assistant, teaching me the steps for how to succeed. I've never forgotten that.
How could you?
Go see my assistant.
Yeah.
Go see my assistant.
Could you imagine?
She's in the other room. Okay.
By the way,
all right.
we'll come get you off the floor
Exactly.
in about 10 minutes.
Exactly.
Susan Stroman.
Oh,
Susan Stroman.
Susan
Stroman.
Stroman.
Yeah.
Stroman. Thank you.
Yes.
Susan Stroman. I have trouble with names.
Yeah.
No, I'm in real trouble.
I'm the worst.
No, I'm worse than you are. No, I am.
It's such a thing, though, that irritates me, and I can't seem to get any better. I don't know if there's a...
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
No, I mean awful.
Yeah.
Awful. I mean,
Now, let me ask you
I
this.
cannot tell you who my children's teachers were when I was there in school. I can remember, I can remember Kevin Pollak.
Sure, thank you.
Excuse me while I take a shower. I'm going to go see your assistant. Pollak, excuse me.
No.
No, but that's the problem.
Yes.
I mean, I will stumble on names.
At some point, I became my father, where I'll get the name wrong just a little, though. I'll remember most of it and get just a little wrong. That was a talent that he had, and I picked that
I
up.
don't remember the cast members in Mad Men.
Really? We're going to go down the list for you.
No, but it's not in. It's not like you son of a. What? Come on, get with. How could you say that?
Right.
What's wrong with you? I cry about it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I cannot. John Hamm, Slattery. And I get stumbled. I get stumbled. I stumble on them, and I know Christina, Peggy. But I mean, it isn't anything I do on purpose.
I get confused sometimes too.
It's a terrible feeling. I have to lock the door at home and get in my room, sit there because I feel so bad to the outside world that they don't know the stigma I have.
I think there's
of
something
names.
Yeah.
It is awful. When my wife goes out with me to parties and things, of course she knows me that well, she will
As someone
say, "Hi,
approaches.
my name is Libby, and you're so-and-so." She knows I'm not going to introduce because I'll forget her name.
See what it's like to have a
No,
mate
I will
that actually
forget-
takes
I
the
will
high road there instead of saying, "I'm Jamie." He never introduces me to anyone.
You don't.
Yeah, really.
But this is the reason. I don't remember the person's name.
Yeah, I really mean that, and sometimes I'll forget my children's names.
Oh, well, that's fun.
That's because I have
17.
how many of them? There's Andrea, Robin, Hillary, Alan, and Charlie.
Nicely done.
And sometimes I'll call Alan Andrea.
But they expect it at some point.
Well, they didn't at first, but now they go,
Nice.
May I make a
just
suggestion?
not here, And I wish I was sharp as that young man, because I know how sharp he is. I know people like him.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That are so fast.
Sammy, you're so fast. Do you have a
Sammy
suggestion
is
for
so-
I have two. For the children,
What makes Sammy run?
Yeah.
All right.
just go with my boy or son.
Uh-huh.
Just skip the name altogether. Give them a loving title that you call all of them. That way you're never wrong.
All right.
And then as far as learning new names, this is a trick someone taught me years ago, and I swear by it. Because as you go, both well know in our business, you meet tons of new people all the time.
Too many people.
When you meet someone for the first time, you shake their hand, "Oh, hi, you're Bob." Literally imagine in giant red writing the name they just said plastered across their forehead.
Envision.
Thank you, Sammy.
And I swear it's helped me.
That
I
is
would misspell it.
Isn't that terrific?
It's a little late for me.
He's full of crap. No. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Sammy has told me this. I will tell you that in other rooms and other places I've been, people have said, "Oh, Bob, this is what you do.
Here's what you do.
You don't think of their name, you think of the craven on the prophecy. And then you go, bravace, and notice it on your rolling, and you will count to your craven." And right away when it comes on your crop, you will flizen it, and you'll say, "Hi, Krovlat," as Sid Caesar would say, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
But anyways, nothing
No, by all
lost,
means.
nothing gained. I'm just saying that I have had all the advice.
Yeah.
All the psychiatrists.
I finally-
Everybody has tried to help
No,
me.
it's impossible.
And it isn't
impossible.
anything I do.
Yeah.
It isn't being selfish.
No.
It isn't. It just goes. And it's
Yes.
very strange. I never had that problem with learning lines or earlier in my career.
Right.
I mean, mostly for theater. I've always found it difficult on television to remember lines. I've always had a difficulty with it because it's fast and I'm not used to that. Now, maybe I'm taking it because I'm older now. Maybe if I was 21 or 22 or 25 or 30 or 35 or even 40 or 50,
Yeah.
it would be different. But there is a problem.
Well, let's talk for a moment, because I'm very curious about this. When you were doing that wonderful show on Broadway, and you were 27, 28 years old, what was the process for you then to, through the course of the weeks of rehearsal, actually get off book? Because I've heard a couple of different versions, although they all
I'd
seem
like to hear them.
to differ. They all seem to differ, which is you take a section and you spend so many days in a row just memorizing that section, and you slowly work your way through it. But it seems like everyone I talk to has had a completely different method of actually getting off book for an entire show. It seems so daunting to me.
Well,
to do the lead.
If memory serves me well, and to remember back that long, I think it's because we were all in it together.
Right.
There's 20 people in it together with 5 weeks of rehearsal. And if you love the material,
Yeah.
if it was sketch comedy, now How to Succeed is sketch comedy. I don't care what you say, it has little scenes, but they're sketch scenes. It's the kind of thing when you go to rehearsal and you have this whole script, you're just going to do one thing at a time, and you're with everybody else, and slowly it comes to you, and you don't think about it. You're young, and it's easy, and the songs become easy. And you go later in years, you go, how did I ever do that?
Right.
Especially when you see the show again many, many years later. You look up at it and you go, my God, that show is long. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's hard to divorce yourself. But I did a one-man show
Right, true.
on Truman Capote.
Just you.
Now that was 120 pages, just
you.
me.
Just you.
And I had to learn that in 8 weeks.
Oh my God.
And that's why today I can't get up from the table.
It took everything you had. It took a piece of your soul with that one. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, listen.
No, anyways, I do think that learning stuff like that, you are in with a group of people, and it just happens. I don't try to.
But in the case of True, when it really was
that's
just
a little
you.
different.
Yeah, I mean, I know from standing alone on stage doing my act that.
That's a panic attack, by the way.
Yeah.
Doing a one-man show.
Oh, God.
I mean, the beginning, when they first call,
Yeah.
and they say, "Can you do Truman Capote?" And I go, I can do Harpo Marx. And they go, we're not doing Harpo Marx. Can you do Truman Capote? And I go, well, I think so. I'll try very hard to say, Kevin, I've worked very hard on the accent, and I do remember the way he talked. So anyways, I said that over the phone to the person. That
Wow.
They said, that's fine.
Yeah, that'll do.
I said, why do you want me to do this? This is several years ago.
Yeah.
They said, because I want someone, I know True, they said. True's a very good friend of mine, the person, J. Preston Allen, who directed it.
Right.
I know him personally. And what I want on the stage about him when I direct it is someone that's effervescent and has a musical comedy sense and,
Right.
and has a style. You have to hold an audience for an hour and a half. And I'm not going to, it's not about a play. I hadn't read it yet. It's not a play with some ferns in the background. You're going to sit in a chair and talk to the audience for an hour. This is a play.
Right.
You're going to have a room. You're going to have books. You're going to have a record player. You're going to have phones. You're going to have flowers. You're going to have things to sit on. You're going to smoke a joint. You're going to be on a sofa that was actually his.
Wow.
There is booze over there, and you're not going to drink because you're trying. This is the particular period that I want. New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve, and I'm sending you the script. And I was very excited, and I'm coming out to meet you. I want to make sure that you're not. Sometimes, people want to meet you. You know this, because they want to know if you're sober.
Yeah.
Are you still the same Kevin as I remember 4 years ago? Or 5
Oh,
years? I want to meet him again. I want to see if he can stand. I don't know if he's on anything or what kind of person Robert Morse is 10 years after such and such and such. And I showed up drunk. No. No, I didn't.
There's a lot of self-sabotaging people that would have.
No, I at that time in my life, no alcohol and no booze. I couldn't do that anymore. My youth maybe, but not later on. Now some can. So, I've worked with Jackie Gleason, who would sit there in a dressing room with me. Morse, come here, sit down. And I'd sit, and he wouldn't talk to me. He'd just go, but he'd want me there.
Wow.
So, where was I? When I did True, and she came out to meet me, of course, she saw that I was sober. I don't know how reliable, but sober.
Right.
And she said, here's the script. And I said, when is this going to be done? And she says, 10 weeks from now at Vassar College up in New York State at the Powerhouse Theater. We'll open there. And we'll play there for 4, 5, 6 weeks. And I don't know what's going to, Bobby. I can't guarantee anything. We hope we can get a theater on the West Side or the East Side, but we have to see what we have.
Right.
Maybe a bomb. I don't know. But are you willing to take this journey with me? And I said, 8 weeks, 10 weeks. All I can say is I had the worst panic attack during the next 3 or 4 weeks when I sat in my apartment in New York, in Los Angeles, learning the lines alone because I had to learn them page after page. And they came pretty good, but still I was panicked.
120 pages.
120 pages. So went to Poughkeepsie and we opened up, and I don't know how, but on opening night I didn't make a mistake. But as I said earlier in this interview, I couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
I didn't know where I could go with it, where it was safe.
Right.
Where that trust it. So there were performances where I try to get them, and she gave me one of the best pieces of advice: don't go out and get the audience. I went, what? Last night, you just tried to get them. Trust the material.
Wow.
You really were pushing it. You had one foot in the front row, and I don't like that.
Wow.
And she was tough. And I went, I thought I was wonderful last night. Well, you weren't. You weren't wonderful. And remember that. You trust the material. Pull it back. It'll be there.
Wow.
You'll find out where it is.
Yeah.
You'll be able to pick a glass up. You'll be able to see the glass. So these things happen, and they're wonderful feelings when you're in a show, a little bit or a length of time, that you really can use the object. I find television very difficult for that.
Yeah.
I get crazy. Some people are good. John Hamm, Slattery, and most of the people on shows that I've done, but like Mad Men, they're brilliant. They're brilliant at it. I look at them like, it would take me 10 weeks of rehearsal to do what they do sometime in 2 or 3 takes. I'm serious.
Right.
They're just wonderful. How do you feel about it? Are you pretty good at the television game?
The physical nature of the set and the pieces and the business, the memorizing?
No problem.
I don't feel like there's enough time. in television to find those beats, because there really isn't a rehearsal ever, and the brief little rehearsal before shooting for television and film, for that matter. Sometimes on film you'll have a period of rehearsal, but that's even become such a rarity in the last 10 years. I don't think I've rehearsed at all in the last 10 years in a movie prior to shooting. I know it happens. I hear tell that people are still doing it, but even that seems like a loss.
Is it different in movies now? Do they do just far more takes than television?
There are certain actors and certain directors who demand it and get away with it.
You mean they will do more?
More takes. There's a few filmmakers who only want, Clint Eastwood is famous for doing as few takes as possible, sometimes only one. But there are several filmmakers now who are getting reputations for insisting on doing 35 to 70 takes.
David Fincher.
Have you ever been in that position?
The great Scorsese, when he works with the great De Niro, they have a thing between them where they like to do an average of 35 takes. That was my experience on Casino. And after about 3 takes, I just hear myself acting.
Oh, really? You don't feel you grow in it, or more relaxed, or... No, you've had
My early takes are usually the best, yeah.
And they don't use them because they use the Star's 75th.
That's right.
No.
Yeah, but often that is the case. I mean, there's times when you're afforded rehearsal. I did one big movie very early on where there were 2 weeks of rehearsal, and I haven't had that luxury.
What was that?
A Few Good Men. But it was on a sound stage. The majority of the film was shot in one big courtroom set.
You know my daughter, Andrea. She was Tom Cruise's assistant.
Yes, of course.
Andrea Morse.
Oh, my goodness.
On
Yes.
A Few Good Men.
Yes.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, you may not remember.
I remember Andrea.
Yeah, she was his assistant, you know.
And she had the wherewithal to not say, I'm Robert Morse's daughter.
No. But she...
Andrea,
A Few
my
Good Men,
goodness.
and she went through that whole process. She got out of college, State University in New York. She's my oldest daughter.
Right.
And she came to me and she said, I can't be an actor. And I said, well, that's all right.
Yeah.
Well, Dad, I've always wanted to be an actress, but I just got out of college, and all I am doing is working as a waitress on East Side restaurants after she graduated college to make a living.
Right.
And I can't stand it anymore, and I just don't. Dad, I just got an offer from a friend who is leaving, a very big actor, and recommended that I, because of my ability of keeping everything, you know what I mean, doing
multitasking,
everything.
Yeah.
Where's the plane? The ding. I'm hungry. Don't get too friendly. Bebop, and op.
There's a long list.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
This is a major step.
The executive
she
assistant.
says, you are going to be, there's a job opening for me to work with Tom Cruise. And I went, at that time, I went, oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Well, honey, you do anything you want. You know, that's just the advice I give people. You know, people say, well, what should I do? Or which I says, I don't give advice. I'm sorry, I can't give advice to people what they should do or where they should go.
Life deciding.
I wish you well, but I know that someone's going to give you advice, and you're going to go, that person told me to do that, and it was all wrong. You know, I don't think it's fair to generally give young actors or actresses advice who to study with, what to do, or where to go, or it isn't being mean, it's just that I don't know.
Right.
Actually, it's a different age and a different time now.
Yes.
I wouldn't know where to, except my ex-wife, Carol D'Andrea. Carol D'Andrea, look at her website. Carol D'Andrea, look at that up. CarolD'Andrea.com, I guess. She's an acting teacher here.
Wow.
And she's been doing it for 25 or 30 years.
Andrea and Michael, those were the two executive assistants.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Michael Dovin.
Yeah, Michael Dovin.
They're married?
They got married.
They got married.
That's what I thought.
And they have a lovely boy. and she doesn't work for him anymore.
Oh, yeah.
She had to say goodbye.
Yeah.
She
was with him a
had
number of years.
a number of
Long
years,
time.
but it was too much.
Yeah.
It got to be awful harrowing.
Yeah.
I don't know the circumstances of their split,
Right.
but that's what happens.
Sure.
But she was with him a number of years.
Well, she's a
and so was
delight.
Michael Dovin.
She's a delight, your
Right.
daughter.
Thank you. I
remember
will tell her you
so
said
very,
that.
very fondly. Please.
I will.
You mentioned.
You got a phone?
You
Call her
mentioned
right now.
who to study with. I do want to ask a little bit
Sure,
about
anything you
your
want.
days studying with Lee Strasberg.
Well, actually,
Yes.
let me tell you a little about my studies,
Please.
if I may. I would have to start by saying, after I got out of the Navy, the Korean
War, yeah.
I came to New York
My dad also served in the
because,
Korean War.
what?
My father also served in the Korean War. Sorry about that. He's a much older man than you. Much older man than you.
He was a general.
Yeah, no. No. But he
I remember it well. Anyways, it was after the
Suffice to
Korean
say,
War.
you
I don't
survived
even
it
know what
much
year
better.
it was, but I do remember Jimmy Dean and all those people.
Yeah.
These were the years that we all were in New York together.
52,
Now, if
55.
everybody in the world mentioned, oh, I knew Jimmy Dean, he'd have 40,000 friends.
Yeah, right. Imagine the following on
Everybody
Facebook and
says my
Twitter.
age. Said, oh yeah, I knew Jimmy. Yes. Well, I did.
You actually did.
I actually did.
Yeah.
Because we would go up for interview at that time. Anyways, I got out of the Navy. My brother, Richard Morse, was at the neighborhood playhouse.
Wow.
A very esteemed
Yeah.
Sandy Meisner was the head teacher there, and some of the finest, Rydell, and the wonderful director that just passed away.
Kazan?
No, Pollak, Sidney
Pollak.
Pollak.
No relation.
Right.
I wish.
Yes. You knew his brother?
that I could be suffering
You know his
now.
brother? Did you ever meet his brother, Pollak?
No.
No. Well, anyway, Sidney Pollak and my brother, and they were all in the same class.
Right.
Tammy Grimes. See how you remember names
Sure,
back then.
right?
Sometimes, like old songs, I'll
Yeah.
remember the
lyrics,
words.
yeah.
But anyway, so we were in the neighborhood playhouse, and I got out of the Navy, and I enrolled in the neighborhood playhouse, but they wouldn't take me, or for some reason it wouldn't start till next year.
They had your brother already. When they
Yes,
need
they
you
had my brother, and you know where we lived? We lived in Brooklyn. I came out of the Navy and went with a white T-shirt and cigarettes in my T-shirt. That's the way you wore them.
Sure.
In the old days, you'd wear
Rolled 'em
cigarettes
up.
right up there, and you'd go. And I lived in Brooklyn with my brother in a delicatessen store. There was an artist studio with white sheets on the window,
Wow.
and but the artist was on hiatus and rented this place with a wood fire, stove in the back, and it was a studio no bigger than it looked like this. No, I mean literally
Wow.
with delicatessen windows, and that's because we were young.
Yeah.
Right. Milk was a quarter.
Yeah.
You know, everything was great.
It was,
And anyways, I enrolled in the American Theater Wing. Because the GI Bill of Rights afforded you at that time to pay for all your education. So you want to be an actor, American Theater Wing in New York, which is still going, and is still strong. And I was in the class with some wonderful people whom I can't remember. And the secretary there said to me one day, "Do you want to make $15 or $20? She was like Miss Blankenship on Mad Men. You know? I mean, she was a wonderful woman.
Right.
She just liked me and said, "You want to make some money?" And I said, "Sure."
Please.
She says, "You go over to Name That Tune over to the Dumont Theater, and you become a fake contestant." And I said, "Fake contestant?" "No, what they mean is you sit in the chair, and when they play, 'Oh, what a beautiful morning,' you ring the bell and say the name of the tune is 'Oh, what a beautiful morning.' They just want to make sure they got the right answers with the right music and the right people before they bring in the real people.
The real contestants,
They
right.
don't want to say South Pacific if it's the wrong, so they want to make sure everything's right." I did that for 3 or 4 weeks. I got like $15, $20, and that was a lot.
Yeah.
And that was terrific. And one day they were going to hire a new master of ceremonies. So they sent me over to Faneuil Hall, I don't even know the name of it, somewhere in New York, on 57th Street, on a Sunday, to Benny Baker was going to, whoever you wouldn't know,
Right.
was going to audition for one of the MC, and they had another MC in the other room. So you'd play the game with this MC, and then the other MC would come in and you'd play the game with that MC, and you get $50 for the day. Well, I was there, and of course there were lots of people around, like we have in any studio, you know, hangers-on. And
Don't look at Sam when you say hangers on.
Why did you look right at me? That was uncomfortable.
people having a buck, you know.
Zing.
There were hangers-on, people with cigars and hats, and you know what I mean.
Like
New
Kenny
York,
Chen,
New
cigars and
York,
hats.
New York, you know, and it was there. And I started doing what I usually do with that, you know, Danny Kaye, and
Yeah.
every little boy, and I'm glad I found you, Gene Kelly, da-da. Yeah, I'm glad you wonderful you.
Yeah.
You're like a breath of spring, a whole new thing.
My director's
has
freaking out in the other room
happened.
saying, we can't afford these songs. Somebody
You're
stop
right,
him
you're
from
right,
singing.
You're right. So anyways, I was taking and jumping up on pianos as a youthful person I was, and a man comes over to
It's
me.
nice to know you were a natural born ham.
You're right.
Honestly, it's nice to know that.
So a man comes over to me, and you know, like the cigar in the mouth, and says, "You want to make a movie?" And I went, "Wow, this is like a movie." I can't imagine. You want to make a movie, kid?
Oh my God.
You know, like. And I said, "Yeah." And he gave me his card, seriously, and it was Baum Newborn Agency. He says, "Come and see me on Monday. There's going to be a movie done at Paramount, and I think you'd be very right for it." And I'm a kid running around the state, and I go home and I call my family back in Newton, Massachusetts. I think I got an agent. He's Jewish. Wonderful.
That means I'm in show business.
Yes, I'm in show business.
I found a Jew. I found a Jew, Ma.
Marty Baum. By the way, Martin Baum is alive today.
Oh my God.
And he is one of the greatest agents in the world. So anyways, I went up to see him. Marty Baum and Abe Newborn, New York City. They had Sal Mineo, they had a few other people.
They were bona fide.
They did. They had, well, anyways. So he
go up
says,
to
"I
see
want
him?"
you to go to Paramount Pictures and meet Boris Kaplan. He's the head of casting. And there's going to be a producer there and a director from the movie The Proud
And the Profane.
The Proud and the Profane.
1956.
That's right.
Your film debut.
That's right.
You were listed in the credits as, do you know?
No,
Second Casualty.
that's right. All right. We'll
Does
get
that
to
ring a bell?
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
Hey, I'm with you.
But it was enough
That's
to
where
get
our
you.
tickets are.
But it was enough
Hey,
to.
CSI, Second Casualty. That's right.
But
You won't have to look for me. I think the word Second Casualty was longer than I was on the film.
yeah. But it was enough
So
to
anyway.
get you a contract with Paramount.
No, that's not true.
No?
No. What
right.
happened was I went up there to read for Boris Kaplan and the producer and the director.
Yeah.
She's of The Proud and Profane. I didn't get the part.
No, of course not.
But they hired me, Ray Strickland, another wonderful actor, Frank Gorshin.
Oh my.
All of us
One of my
got
mentors.
hired.
Wow.
Got hired to go down to the Virgin Islands and be extras on second, whatever it said.
You
What?
were second casualty.
Second casualty. No, we didn't know what we were going to do.
No.
But we were.
Gonna be in the
they liked
movies.
us. They liked us.
Yeah.
And they hired us 5 or 6 actors to go down there, all expenses paid. Wow.
You're in show business.
$250 a week.
You'd never seen that.
And eat, drink, jump, whatever, in the Virgin Islands. At St. Thomas. And they shoot about a mile away down the dock, the big destroyer. And one night we got a call. "Bobby, yes, Mr. Morse, show up." All right, went down, bandages all over me. "What's going to happen? You're going to come down the gangplank. They're going to be carrying you." And Deborah Kerr.
Wow, you pulled one out.
Yes.
Nice.
William Golden and Deborah Kerr. Deborah Kerr is going to lean over and say, "How are you, sailor?" And you'll say, "I'm fine." She can say, "What's your name?" You can say anything you want. First casualty. Robert Morse. I come from Newton, Massachusetts. Well, good luck to you. No, that's it. Then she doesn't.
But you had
say
speaking lines.
yeah,
whatever.
that was it.
Yeah.
So then I went back to New York. Phil of this agent got me this, and I'm thinking wonderful. And I get a call from my agent saying, "I want you to go to the Theater Guild office." David Merrick,
The David Merrick.
the director, the producer. Tyrone Guthrie, the director. They're bringing a show with Ruth Gordon from London, bringing it over here. It's called The Matchmaker by Thornton Wilder,
Yeah.
and they want you to play a part in the Matchmaker on Broadway. The Matchmaker, what's that? Thornton Wilder on Broadway, The Proud and Profane. I just did the movie. Oh my God, Broadway, go meet people of the Theater Guild. How are you? David Merrick, yes sir. My agent standing there. Sir Tyrone Guthrie, the Guthrie Theater. My God, iconoclasm, everything's breaking down. How are you? Fine. By the way, The Matchmaker was later made into Hello, Dolly.
Yes.
It was derived from that first Broadway show.
Right.
I happened to meet Thornton Wilder when I was in New Haven, had lunch with him as I'm sitting with you. That was quite a thing.
Please.
So anyways, I go there and I meet everybody and they're talking to me about this show that's coming over from London, The Matchmaker, big hit over there,
Right.
with Ruth Gordon. It's going to open on Broadway, and what have you done?
I was just.
And no, that's, you got it, but I didn't say that. I'm very young.
Right.
I said, and my agent, literally, Mr. Morse has just finished a major motion picture with Deborah Kerr and William Holden. What? As what? Second what?
Second casualty.
Second casualty. Just finished a major motion picture
Wow.
with Deborah Kerr and William Holden. Well, that pleased everybody. And Tyrone Guthrie said, "Thank you for coming in." Everybody said goodbye. I went home. I get a call a half an hour later at home. "You've got the part. You're going to be in a Broadway show. The Matchmaker. You're going to make $750 a week. A run-of-the-play contract. And the script is on its way." And I said, "Are you serious?"
Why?
To my agent with the guy. I says, "Are you kidding? I got a Broadway show." All I could think of was my brother, who was at the neighborhood playhouse. And why should I get?
Yeah.
It was guilt.
Yeah.
Like I should
Right.
be on Broadway.
Right.
I'm 4 years younger, and
He hasn't had his shot yet.
and it still bothers me to this day.
Yeah.
Anyways,
So you didn't audition when that first meeting?
well, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Very good question.
Yeah.
I
I get to a show.
They said, "You got the show," and I called my mother and father back in Newton in the television store where they worked.
Right.
I said, "I got a Broadway show." My mother says, "What about your brother?"
Oh my.
No. Can you help your brother?
Yeah, that comes later.
So anyways, I said, "Yeah, I got a Broadway show." Oh my God. And then I called my agent back. And I said, "Are you sure?" I really, it was that crazy. I said, "Are you sure that I got, can I speak to Marty Baum?" "Marty, this is Robert Morse. Did I really?" "Bobby, relax, yes. But I didn't audition, I didn't read, I didn't do anything." And he says, "That's the way Tyrone Guthrie is. He saw you, he knows you can do the part, he's very busy, he's going to Canada to direct Shakespeare. He'll be back in 3 or 4 weeks, maybe he'll see you, maybe he won't, but you do have the part and you're going to be the dinner." So I had to go back in 5 or 6 weeks because David Merrick, the producer, insisted that I read
Oh boy.
for the part.
Yeah.
So Tyrone Guthrie had to come back.
Not happy.
Okay, page 10. Thank you. Goodbye. Got the part. Get out of here. You know, they're silly. Silly why I was called back to do this. I know, and I know how to cast
He
somebody.
was pissed
at that
off.
age, yeah.
So
He used to say wonderful things.
yeah.
Say, well, mood. What is mood spelled backwards?
Doom.
Right? So be careful of mood on the stage.
Did he say things like, "You fetch my shoes"?
Yes, exactly.
Is that the line?
there.
You there. You there. Fetch my shoes.
Where does that come from? Oh, that must be something else.
Mad Men.
Yes,
Quite
yes.
recently.
Yes, that's true.
You there. Fetch my shoes.
It was the second
You
to
never
last
know.
line.
You never know when certain lines, and I don't have them, but there are a couple, I guess. You there, fetch my shoes, or shut the door and sit down, or whatever the
Yeah.
expressions used on a show are going to be. Somebody writes you on Twitter or Ditter or
Yeah.
Facebook and says, "Oh, I love that line when you say," and you go, "Really?"
Yeah.
You don't think of it that way. I
No.
mean, you just don't.
You know, yeah. To
And
this,
it's as if you wrote it.
yeah. Which they never seem to understand.
Yeah, oh, I love that line when you said that. Wow, you were so great. And
Yeah.
I go, great. I was so nervous that day. You'd be surprised. I don't know. No, but that's true.
Yeah. So, in Matchmaker,
I was
not
fired.
only a Broadway debut,
I was almost fired.
you're almost fired? I would think so. You hadn't really auditioned.
I'm right.
You hadn't really done much
In
prior.
rehearsal.
Was this one of the leads that you had?
Yes. Barnaby Tucker. I played in the movie.
Yeah.
I was only
Shirley Booth.
Shirley Booth, Tony Perkins,
Right.
who used to say to me, "Don't touch the dog."
What did that mean? Was that a
means
metaphor for something?
Don't touch the dog. When the dog comes over here, I touch it. You don't. And I've never forgotten that. Every time I saw him years after, I go, "Don't touch the dog." It was as if
Don't touch the
it was
dog.
old-fashioned kind of thinking about, I'm the star and I touch the dog,
Right.
but you don't.
Wow.
I mean, that's how I took it.
Marking his territory.
Yeah, you know, to be like, "Hi, dog. How are you? Jeanette, don't touch the dog."
Right.
You know, I know it sounds silly to people, but
No.
believe me,
Yeah.
in many motion pictures or theater or
Why should our business be that different that there's not competitiveness?
Yeah, I
You
guess
know,
so,
and,
so
and
true.
pettiness.
Yeah, there is not.
And it's all about
But I don't think he
insecurity.
meant it that way. He was insecure because I loved Tony. I mean, I had a lot of fun with him. I see him at hockey games at the Kings with his kids, and I've always bumped into him. Even in New York before, we did a movie together.
Right.
You know, we grew up as partners, but I always remember that. It's sort of always stuck with me. Like Ruth Gordon's line. Now, when I went into the Matchmaker, I don't know why, but they were very nervous about, in that day and age, that it be properly opened with the same cast as they had in London. They couldn't see the idea of me playing Barnaby. I don't know for what reason, but there was pressure put on by Ruth Gordon to the producer to get rid of Robert Morse just for the opening.
And bring in the actor
Bring in the actor
who
that did
originated.
it, and his name was not McCallum, a very famous British actor, and again I can't think of
It's
the name,
okay.
who came over and watched me during two of the preview performances and said, "Bobby, I don't know why I'm here. You're wonderful."
How nice.
Yeah, no,
How
you're
nice.
a real gentleman. You know, he said,
Yeah.
"Bobby, you're wonderful. I don't want to be here.
Right.
I've done it in London. I don't know why they called me over. I'm sorry. I just want you to know that you're doing a wonderful job. I saw the two shows." And I was heartbroken.
Sure.
And I remember having breakfast with David Merrick and my agent, and David assuring me, "Mr. Merrick, look, this is just to ensure the opening. Don't worry, you're going to be back in the show." And I was heartbroken. And Robert Preston heard about this. He was up the street in a show, I believe, with Claudette Colbert.
All right.
And Robert Preston heard about this and went to Actors Equity. And I think I was one of the first ones that spurred on the ruling.
Yeah, that stands to this day.
That, well, I don't know how it stands, but the ruling was that nobody could you could have a certain amount of foreign actors, people from different countries in the play, but you must have a representative, I guess, amount, at least at that time, of American actors.
Right.
So here I was being fired for no cause, or laid off for no cause, and Equity stepped in and says, you cannot remove that actor. I'm sorry. Right. That's Robert Morse. Didn't know Robert, but the case is Robert Morse has done nothing wrong.
Right.
He isn't. In fact, people had seen the show and didn't understand what was going on.
Well, yeah.
So, I was resurrected and in that show. But Ruth Gordon, I used to watch her from the wings, and there was nobody. You know how actors say, God, I used to watch so-and-so from the wings, how wonderful that certain scene. Well, I did. That was me. Ruth Gordon was wonderful in The Matchmaker.
Yeah.
The eating scene and stuff like that. But I learned one thing that I never will forget, and that was one day I'm coming out from under the table, and I say, we're terribly sorry. Whatever the line is. Well, I forgot the line. We're terribly sorry. And I couldn't think of whatever the line was.
You went up.
Right. Exactly. Went up. And that was that. Now, Ruth Gordon used to, at the end of the first act, would sit in the back of the go over every line.
Wow.
For the second act. So one of the actors said, well, you should apologize for not doing your line, you know. I mean, you should go up to her and say you're sorry. Arthur Hill, I don't know if you know that actor.
Oh, yes.
He's done many great things, but he played Cornelius. And I played Barnaby.
Right.
Arthur Hill was the actor on Broadway. And Arthur said, Bobby, go say you're sorry. So I snuck up on her. I went, Miss Gordon, yeah. I said, I'm really sorry I forgot my line. I really want to apologize. She said, I feel bad about it. She said, you ought to.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
And I've never forgotten that.
A chill.
So whenever I work on a stage or I'm with an actor, if someone forgets their lines, or I bite my lip or whatever I do, I will never get angry at them for the memory problem or they lost something. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You know, that's the way it is. Unless they're drunk, crazy. But that's, I've never forgot that. I will never say to another actor, you know, you should be, you know, why don't you know your lines? I never want to put that pressure on anybody.
Yeah. Well, you don't forget a moment like that. It stays with you, and it's...
But I loved Ruth, don't get me wrong. For a year and a half.
You have a question you want to read? Excuse me, Robert.
Sure.
Oh, no, I have a question I wanted to read from the chat room because it's one of our viewers from This Week in Mad Men. So
Oh, yes.
I wanted to ask.
One of the shows that takes place in this very studio is called This Week in Mad Men, and it's been running on Mondays, right after your show airs on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And it's like a recap, but also it's a wonderful sort of round table discussion.
Oh, people come in, talk back and forth?
They
blog
ask,
back and
they
forth?
ask questions live.
Amazing.
But also there's 4 of them, and Jamie's one of the hosts, and they break down the characters and the storylines.
We have live viewers, and they get in on the discussion.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the show.
So we
It's
have
wonderful.
one of those audience members that's writing in now?
NYC Hope, she's one of our regular
Right.
That I'm back
viewers.
next year.
Yes.
She wants to know whether you're back next year. We've already assumed that, Robert. You don't say
The big
fetch me
question
my shoes.
is Bert Cooper coming back? No.
Yeah.
She wants to know, what do you enjoy doing more, film, live theater, or television?
Do you have a preference if you had to choose? My answer is normally don't make me choose because I
Yes,
don't want to
exactly.
give up any of them. But for you,
It's probably what I'm doing right now.
no.
You know?
Do you have a favorite?
Well, there is no doubt that stage is absolutely, I mean, the years I spent doing Sugar, Some Like It Hot, musicals, working with Goward Champion, Abe Burrows, Frank Lesser, being in musicals, Take Me Along, Our Wilderness,
Sugar
Eugene
Babies, you get a
O'Neill's,
run.
you know, Bob Merrill, Julie Stein, Fear and Martin, Comden and Green.
Oh, boy.
To have that, to remember, oh God, those memories, you know, which are just there a little bit. And I would say the stage was absolutely the happiest moments of my life and the most rewarding. But as you get older, or time now, you know, you're not gonna be on Broadway anymore. It comes a time in your life when you're 40 or 50 or 60 when they're not writing songs for
No,
me,
they're not. Yeah.
oh, anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
Young man's game.
It's a young man's game,
Yeah.
and fine, and it's wonderful. You know, How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, boy.
You know, all
Yeah.
the people and Rent and all the new shows, which are not new, but a whole different thing. And I'm not going to be able to be in the background playing a drum, you know.
No, you're not interested in that.
Right. And
The days of carrying a spear, long gone,
That's
my
right.
friend.
So they're not writing parts for my age
Right.
anymore. So people say, well, when are you going to go back to New York and be in a show? Come on, we want you to go back to Broadway. Not only that, 8 shows a week.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Actually.
Would be it's debilitating.
Yeah.
It would be very, very difficult, very, very difficult to do 8 shows, and to be in love with what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have to just love the part or something like that. So I'm
You think you
thankful
felt,
for what I have.
as a performer, as an actor, as an artist, most alive on the boards in front of that live audience? Is
There's
there
nothing
a chance
like it.
that's true?
You know, there are moments in a show that transform all. I mean, it's almost ethereal or something, where you feel you can hold an audience. Where you have a moment where you can hold them in your hand, and you know, and the love is it's fleeting.
Yeah.
But there are those moments that I've never felt in any other medium.
I'm not sure they're available, actually, in these other
Maybe
mediums.
not.
That sense of
Well, maybe they
energy.
are the great big stars who make a lot of movies, who really know the feeling of motion picture. And I mean, I'm saying I don't know, but I know on the stage there is that great feeling that I know. Great, you know, there's some great movie actors and great stage actors, and both of them, you know, who am I thinking of? You know, I can't think of their names.
Brando?
That were also great stage actors,
Right.
also great motion picture actors.
We have one now in the Liev Schreiber, who's doing tremendous work on stage and also in front of the camera.
And who was it that was in the park doing Shakespeare?
Mandy Patinkin? No.
He was in The Graduate, the movie about. Everybody knows, right? The great movie had 5 Coppola movie.
Oh yeah.
The guy in it.
Al Pacino?
Hey!
Hoo-ah!
Send me a T-shirt.
The Godfather?
Charlie, my boy, Charlie. Hello, Charlie.
Pacino, he does Richard III.
Richard III, yeah. Pacino loves the theater and is
And
certainly
also great in theater and great.
right. But that
they have
moment
that
of
feeling.
holding the audience that you spoke of, that
It happens now and
fleeting
then.
moment, you may have that between actors in a scene while working on a movie or a television show. There's a certain special energy.
Oh, really? Has that happened for you?
That happens live in front of a camera and a crew, but it's only shared between you and the other actor in the scene, that sense of, holy shit, did that just happen? Versus that moment in front of an audience when that happens and they know. They not only know that you hit it just right that night during the performance live on stage, I think, or it feels like the audience knows or believes no one else will ever know that that moment was just hit perfectly, besides those of us that are in this audience tonight. We just saw a once-in-a-lifetime theater moment. I think that's one of the magical things that
Yes,
the
that's
audience,
very well said.
that the audience comes for, and craves, and waits for.
Now that would happen when I was doing True.
Yeah.
Except for one night.
Just one?
Actually, it was 2 nights. People got up in the front row at the beginning of the show after about 5 minutes and left.
Wow. What point in the run?
Well, I mean, I was used to anything happening. I mean, it didn't. I just noticed it, and it
Hard not
it's going to piss me off.
Yeah.
Like why? I mean, not piss me off, but I remember it. Now, I don't remember the memory of the memory of the memory, but
Right.
I do remember people getting up, and I remember going to the stage manager during intermission and saying, "What the hell happened? 5 people got up." Oh, the manager told me to tell you that they left because they thought they were seeing a one-man show on Truman. Harry S. Truman. And they didn't like all the homosexuality or the or Truman Capote.
They thought you were
it wasn't in there.
Well, then they didn't know Harry Truman.
Well, they didn't know Harry S. Truman and Beth.
I don't know. I don't know what Harry S. Truman they're thinking about, but the one I know couldn't get enough
Then
cock.
another night of True, I look down in the front row, and there are people with scripts looking at me, and I think, we're going to get sued. Somebody's suing the writer, J. Preston Allen, because maybe, I mean, my mind just went there.
Sure.
There's some of this subject matter.
Why are they following along?
Mentioning somebody, because
Yeah.
we mention a lot of people.
Right.
And maybe they're just making sure that it isn't. So I was distracting. Then they'd look up, and I went to the stage manager again. He says, "What the hell is that in the front? Oh, why we didn't tell you." People with Braille.
Oh my. Oh my. Is that right?
That can't see.
Right.
That we're just going with script.
So they were
Or
reading.
can't hear.
Well, no, Braille would be can't see.
Can't see.
Yeah.
Huh?
They don't know what you're physically doing, so they're reading stage direction.
They can't see hear the words?
So they should be able to hear. Maybe they were deaf.
No, they can't. Deaf. Must have been
Deaf,
of
mute.
hearing problem.
Yeah.
Because they were following it this way and then laugh 5 minutes later.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I've had shows where there's someone on stage signing.
Signing.
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's very difficult for me to not comment on it.
Not comment or have fun with it,
Yeah.
or to.
Yeah.
It's a lovely thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
I find it beautifully done. I
yeah,
mean, it's amazing.
And I love that there are
They
people,
sign Broadway shows now, you know.
Oh, they must.
Yes.
I love that there are people in the audience who otherwise couldn't be there unless that person was on stage signing. So I love that part of it. But I also, when I impersonate people in my act,
You're not going to be able to.
I want to say, how are you doing Christopher Walken right
Well, you
now?
probably asked him.
Yeah. Did you take the right pause? Did you stretch the word in a Walken-esque way?
You can have a lot of fun with them.
Yeah, I do.
That's true, too.
I can't help myself.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to,
I know the
want to
feeling.
offer you another question, please, from one of our favorite viewers.
Who's in Indonesia right now?
At Martha_S. She's in Indonesia? In Indonesia.
Yeah, she's been there
From
for a month.
Indonesia, asks this question. You've worked with legends, Gleason, Ruth Gordon, Fosse, and others. Who surprised you the most and how? Who did you learn the most from? So first, who was surprising? You said Gleason would call you in the room, didn't necessarily want to talk, but he wanted you there, he wanted you to sit. Ruth Gordon, of course, left an indelible impression on you in terms of losing your spot or going up on your lines.
Who surprised me the most?
Who surprised you the most?
Probably when I was in Take Me Along.
That was your first? No.
And I didn't know that much about show business. It was
Right.
my third Broadway show.
Right.
And I was working with a wonderful actor who played my father, Walter Pidgeon.
Oh, boy.
And I remember asking my mother and father about Walter Pidgeon. I said, I'm going to do a show with him. He's going to play my... She said, he discovered radium. He brought the boys from Dunkirk.
Oh, right.
Mrs. Miniver.
Right.
He, what an actor. Just a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant man. And a real gentleman. Oh. So, first day of rehearsal, I see Mr. Pigeon. I go, hi, Mr. Pigeon, Robert Morse. He goes, oh, my boy. He's got a flowered cap, and he's got a thing, and a 3-suit, and the charmingest man you've ever met.
Sure.
Cane, boots and straps, and flowered tie, and mustache, and always going like this. Call me Walter, No, I can't. Well, I had the deepest respect
Oh, yeah.
for Walter Pigeon. You're going to work with him. And there was a wonderful actress named Una Merkel. There was a wonderful people in this cast. Eileen Hurley. Anyways, and I played the boy, Walter Pigeon's son. And on opening night, Walter would walk down Fifth Avenue. People would bow,
Yeah.
and I would be with him.
True royalty.
True royalty.
Yeah.
So you ask who left an impression, or who did you look
Surprising.
up to? Who surprised you? He surprised me. On opening night, he said, the stage manager said, Mr. Pigeon wants to see you in the dressing room. And I figured everybody has a little name, and they give opening night presents to everybody. I may have Kevin's name or what have you. And
Little Secret Santa business.
name, and you buy them a $4 present. And so I knock on Mr. Pigeon's door, and he says, come in. I said, Robert Moore. I said, oh, come in, boy. That's how we used to talk, come in, boy. And I walked in, and he was peeing in the sink.
Like your party last night, Chen.
Oh, boy.
Now, wait a minute. You can imagine my
Yes.
impression.
Yes.
And I was shocked, and he looked at me and he said, how long have you been in show business, boy? I said, well, this is my second. She said, well, let me tell you something. I know that looks a little strange, but there's only one bathroom on this floor, and there are 5 dressing rooms. And in all of burlesque, and in all of old theater, everyone went to the bathroom in a sink. And I went, really? And that's what I did from that day on. But
To
Walter
this day.
Pigeon surprised me.
To this
Because
day.
the man with the salon being in the sink.
Royalty.
Not Jackie Gleason.
No.
Walter Pigeon.
To this
God
day. In
love
fact,
him.
when I asked you to make sure you use the facilities before we started the show, I thought I heard you peeing in the sink.
Yes.
I didn't want to say anything. I found
I
that.
didn't mean to be dirty about that.
No,
but that's
no.
just a wonderful theater memory. Well, yes, memories.
Let that be a lesson to you kids.
Yeah, you
Kitchen
kids out
isn't
there.
safe around Robert Morse.
You kids out there, be very careful.
Be very careful.
But then
if he's
again,
alone.
you asked me what surprises you. You always think you're going to be in a show where everything is harmonious and lovely. And it's not. There are just certain shows or certain experiences you have that are just hell.
Well, let's jump
And
forward.
I don't want to talk about them.
No, yeah, no, of
but
course.
they are.
Yeah, yeah, no, they-
can be so much different. The
Debilitating.
respect or the ability to communicate from a director to an actor, or that's wrong,
Yeah.
wrong-headed.
It's amazing how some people can take all the fun out of it from a position of power driven by insecurity. Let's jump ahead a little bit to the last couple of years. I'm interested in the energy and the chemistry that takes place these last few years at your day job, otherwise known as Mad Men. Walk me through, if you don't mind. We've had a few of your co-stars on the show in the past: John Hamm, John Slattery, Michael Gladys, and Rich Sommer.
Oh, that's their names.
Yes.
I was looking for Rich Summers' name earlier.
That's the one.
God, I love him.
Yeah, isn't he wonderful?
Yo,
Yeah, we love him too.
great conversationalist.
Yes.
Most of them are.
Oh yeah?
Wouldn't you say so? Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah.
John Slattery must have been here to close the place.
No, he.
I think we scared him a little bit because we were all dressed up in Mad
We
Men
had him on the
garb.
night this season premiered.
This year?
Yeah, because we do the show every Sunday.
I bet he was wonderful.
He
though.
was a delight.
Don't get me
But
wrong.
we were all dressed up in Mad Men attire.
I see. And, what
And
did
Jamie's
that do to
suggesting
him?
we scared him a little bit because
You
he
think
showed
so?
up. He showed up having come from surfing.
From what?
From surfing, as
Oh,
is,
yes, always.
as is his
Can you
want.
imagine that?
No, I can't. I still can't.
Neither can
Because
I.
he's a boy from Massachusetts as well, is he not?
Yes, I am. We're very close by,
Right.
Massachusetts.
So I asked all of them that moment of getting that script
Of which script?
for Mad Men, the pilot.
I wasn't in the pilot.
No.
No. The pilot was shot in New York, and there was no Bertram Cooper. I don't even think they referred to it. For some reason, it came back to Los Angeles, and I just got a call from my agent. You know, the one with the saying Matthew Weiner wants to meet you. He's doing a television show called Mad Men, and you'd be right for. I'll send you the 4 lines that they want you to say. They usually do that.
Yeah.
They send you 4 lines.
The sides.
And it doesn't mean a damn thing, and you get scared and frightened.
Right.
And anyways, going back to Burgess Meredith, which you mentioned earlier about always saying, he said, I always say yes to anything offered to me. I always have. You know, I don't care what it is on TV or what, I'll do anything. And I asked him why that is. He says, because actors always say no. We have a inborn thing within us that goes, would you like, no, I don't think so. Fear, no, before we look at something sometime.
Right.
We go, I don't want to do that. This takes place in many people's heads.
Oh, absolutely.
So before we say no, we have to stop ourselves and say, stop it,
Right.
think.
Yeah.
It's the old Woody Allen story of, they called him up and said, we want to put you on the front cover of Esquire magazine. You're going to be with 4 beautiful women with stockbrokers stuff and tape all over you, and
Right.
holding a bottle of Smirnoff. And he said, excuse me. "Oh, what is it, Woody? I don't pander. I don't drink vodka. I don't want to get on with 4 lovely ladies and stock market stuff on front of a magazine. It's not what I do." And they said, oh, that's too bad. We have Laurence Olivier, we have John Gielgud doing it. And they named a couple of other people. And we're going to give you $10,000 and I don't know, several other things. And he said, oh, hold the line. I'll put Mr. Allen on the phone. Kevin, wait a minute. I'll put Mr. Pollak on the phone. So there is a thing where we do say no a lot, or once in a while. So that's what Burgess Meredith, I think, meant by don't say no all the time.
Yeah.
Look at what they're talking about. So when Matt Weiner approached me or through the agency and said, here are the 3 pages, my first thing is, no, I don't want it. I'm not going to get a series.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do TV. No one's going to know my fear.
Yeah.
I won't know if I know the lines, and I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And a million things dancing in my head because that's the way I am.
Sure.
And it takes a lot for myself to take control of myself and go, stop it. one step at a time, or one blink at a time, or one breath at a time. Say, yes, you will go and meet the fellow. Here are the sides. Go down there. Where is it? It's downtown. You've been there.
Yep.
Mr. Pollak, you've been to the studio.
Yes.
I must say. And it's downtown. I live in Sherman Oaks, and the studio is about 15 miles away. It's down 101 over to the 410 and on Baudelaire Avenue,
Yes.
and then take a left up the hill, and then take a right, and I don't know the name of the studios to this day. Los Angeles Studios, the name. I think it's Los Angeles Studios, or the theater, or whatever, and go to Building 7 Ging, go to the 5th floor, and sit there and wait for someone to bring you into an office where you will sit in front of 4 or 5 people with a camera on you, and you will read.
Sounds horrible.
And they will say, thank you very much, and all right.
And then you get back in the car.
I'm late getting down there. I'm perspiring. I can't find it. I've got the wrong directions. It's like going to Australia.
Yeah.
Go down to that studio. I mean, Staten Island. It is like, it's Australia.
Yeah.
Back. I finally get to the building at 4 o'clock, and I'm a
Yeah.
little bit, shit.
Fremish,
And
like people would say.
now you get into the building. There's elevators everywhere. You don't know where to go. It's in the simple building that says Wiener or whatever. Then you're asking people about Mad Men. Well, no, you mean Numbers, or do you mean Mad Men, or do you mean Lords of the Claven, or Jump? We got finally an old stagehand I happened to see there. Bobby, how are you? I said, fine. He said, I work with you. Well, what do you look? I said, Mad Men. Oh, come with me. I know what you mean.
Nice.
He gets me into the right elevator up to the 2nd floor, down the corridor. I'm already 15 minutes late. Down the corridor, up the stairs to another elevator, and then there, and look for S406, which is Mad Men
And that's where you
casting.
That's where you meet the Sherpa, who's going to take you the rest of the way.
So I've got this script in my hand, and I open the door, and this guy, and I go, help me. He's sorting books, or doing some stuff on the. And I said, before I go in there, what the hell does this mean?
Right.
And he looks at it. He says, well, I guess. He says, you'll be fine. Thanks a lot. I go into the office. I meet the producer, and I meet Mr. Wiener, and he's the guy that I just talked to out in the corridor. I said, what the fuck does this mean?
Oh, that's great.
Hi.
That's right out of a movie.
Hi.
That moment. Yeah.
Hello. I love it. This is so rich. So I read it a couple of times for the camera. And I don't know what I am saying.
No.
No, I mean, really, I don't. Close the door. Why are you saying? Because you do? All right. Well, there's nothing there. Read it again. Try to make. Okay. Thank you. Go home. I go home. I get the part.
Yeah.
Matt calls me, and his agent says, "Oh yeah, we love him. We love. He can be himself." Sorry, we tried to tell him what he should do. I mean, he can be, he'll bring himself to the, who are we talking to? I mean, it's going to be Bert Cooper. We're going to give him a beard and a thing and a hat and a funny thing and
take off your shoes.
Just show up, say it, and sit down.
Yeah.
You're going to be an old cocker, and there's no big deal because that's the way the show is. There's no room for introspection or
just say the word.
You want to go there?
Yeah.
No, none of that. Stop. What, Bobby? Just put your hands.
Yeah.
Always ever. I'm not putting it down.
Right.
It's the style he wants. It's the way they want to film it. There is not guns, bang, people getting killed,
and
jumping out of windows.
Not a lot of improvising either, I wouldn't
None.
say. Right.
No. Oh, no. And that's fine.
Yeah.
No, he wants it word for word. And many shows do that. They say, I want it word for word.
Right.
And many shows go, all right, what can you give me? Or what do you feel? oh, that's great, you know, try that or whatever. But no, this script person.
Yeah.
You've been on the set.
Yeah.
You know that. Right
Yeah.
next to you and me is a script person who wrote the script
Yeah.
with Matt and is watching every line.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a script girl
Yeah, the
that's
supervisor.
going,
Yeah.
whoop, we can't use that. He didn't, and they come up to you. You didn't say this.
Yeah. I love that, by the way.
Right. I have her right next to me when I shoot, on the floor.
Is that right?
Yes, well, quite often. Don't go away.
Well, what a wonderful chemistry that's coming across on the show. And the few times that we have visited the set, the chemistry exists off camera as well. Everyone seems like we all break for lunch and everyone's hanging out together, and it's wonderful.
Very fortunate.
Very rare.
You know, I'm very blessed at my age to be working. Really blessed and thankful, because people who are older than my age do not have jobs.
But it's not just working.
and I understand.
If I may.
No, of course.
No, seriously. To those of us who live for the show, you have contributed to this particular ensemble.
Oh.
In such a way that for many people it's their favorite character. You know this is true because they come up to you, I'm sure, and annoy the hell out of you with how much they love the show. But it's one of those things. This show is for those of us who are absolute and genuine fans. It has seeped into our veins, and we're not happy about waiting another 9 months for the next batch, to be honest with you.
It is quite lovely.
It really
to hear
is.
all
It's
that.
so rich. Well,
it is,
sure.
no, but it is quite lovely to hear all that, and it's quite nice.
It's just
And
so
it's
rare.
I know, but you know, sometimes when you're close to something,
Yeah.
you don't see it
Right.
as others do.
Yeah.
How many times have I gone up to somebody, oh, Kevin,
Yeah.
that moment, that moment in the movie
Yeah.
when you put your hand on the desk and the thing, and that episode when you did this,
Right.
you sometimes as the actor
All I'm
go,
thinking is-
what are they talking about?
Or my brain goes to what I was
Right.
doing that
so
day.
it's like it's accepting it.
Right.
It's like, yes, I was in something really wonderful, and I was blessed to be in it.
Right.
And if I did a good job,
If
thank
you insist.
Right.
Yeah.
If you insist, I'll take it. But so that when you say that to me, or others say it to me, I must learn, and I must, not to be proud of the fact that
Yeah.
I am with some wonderful people like you in the industry, and like people on my set.
Yeah.
And at this time in my life, to be in a wonderful show which has garnered
Everything.
a lot of awards. And
3 years
stuff
in a
like
row, unprecedented.
that,
And the best drama, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
3 years in a row.
So
I believe it's unprecedented.
It is lovely, and for what little I do, and just enough. Because Matt knows not to give me too much.
Well, but
no,
then-
no. I don't mean that. I'm not going to carry a show. I'm not going to be. Now, next year, I don't even know if I'll be back, because this last year,
You there,
I
fetch
left in
my
a huff.
shoes. Yes.
Yeah, fetch my shoes, and I'm out the office. And then in the last episode, they didn't hire me. And you never know when you're going to be off a show. You never really know. They don't go around and say, by the way, in The Sopranos, Matt said it was so easy to get rid of somebody, we shot them. On this show, it's so difficult. It takes weeks to weave a story and to have them leave, or
Right.
somebody die at a desk, or
Yeah.
something like
Right.
that. But on The Sopranos, it was so easy.
Bang.
Bang! Now fall to the right.
We're going to take it again. This time fall to the left.
It was easy to do. So we don't. One doesn't know about what's going to happen in this business. But boy, you are absolutely right. What a delicious time I've had on one of the most delicious shows, where everybody, I'm sick of hearing that. Oh, you'll get along with all of them. But I'm telling you, from John Hamm
Yes.
all down. John, every day with that script
How
and
about
that
it?
work.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. He's amazing. So,
he really
so
is.
are most people on the show, but to keep us cool.
Yeah.
And for 11, 12, 13 weeks, to be able to keep us, steady and not throw the tables and go crazy or walk off the set or
He seems to
get
have
angry at other actors. And he is such a pro. So I don't even know if that's the right word. It's upbringing or something in him,
Right.
but he is someone that we have such respect for. I've never seen anyone do a better in the arc of the show last year where he had to be alcohol drunk. I have never seen an actor do it better and subtly and brilliant than John handled the 2 or 3 episodes where he had to be a little bit.
It's one of the hardest.
Not going too far, not showing, but subtle and letting the audience come into it, and see it. I mean, it was brilliant. He's a brilliant actor.
I think that was,
I mean, for what
I couldn't agree more. And you've also touched upon what I've always felt was one of the most difficult things to recreate, which is being drunk.
Yeah, without.
There's a now somewhat famous story when Robert Shaw, in doing Jaws, had to do that great speech when they were comparing scars, and then he had to do the great speech about the USS Arizona, maybe, that went down, and the sailors in the water, and the sharks would take 35 of us a night. We knew when it was coming to black eyes like a doll would come at you. And he said the first time he wanted to do it drunk. He said he was going to show up and he wanted to do it drunk because the character's drunk in the scene, and the actor wanted to show up drunk to really capture the moment. And he did the day's work and called Spielberg afterwards and said, "Please let me do it again tomorrow."
Sober.
Not drunk.
Huh?
Yeah. And I think it is.
I can't imagine telling a director, "I want to come and do it drunk."
I can't imagine telling when I wanted to do it drunk to begin with.
Ooh.
But
anyway,
acting drunk, to me, harder than crying, harder than laughing, which was one of the great difficult things to do organically and real, I think. But acting drunk is the most elusive, impossible thing to do perfectly. To do believably.
Especially if you have a scene with it, or really have to carry it for a couple of episodes. Or
and not happy drunk, but the dark drunk.
Or where yes, it has its problems, and to do it well is just remarkable. And John was wonderful in Mad Men, and that's why I have great respect for where I am and who I am and who I'm with, and the people that come to direct the show. And well, you've had that experience, and you know that it's just a lovely, lovely time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel guilty because, geez, why am I working and I have friends that aren't?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you feel a little. How lucky I am.
What a wonderful thing, though, as you said, at this point in your life, to come across something this special, this important. Not only just that the show wins Best Drama 3 years in a row at the Emmys, which is nearly impossible, if not unprecedented, but to have those words, those scripts that come in week after week, and now we're so many years into the process, where usually it starts to feed on itself and dilute. It's just it's just natural.
Yes.
It just always happens. And
I don't know how he does it, Matt.
Yeah.
Matt Weiner.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's uncanny.
Absolutely.
I want to bring up another question, if we may, from the viewing audience. This one comes to us from someone who calls themselves Cheesehead 1976. I'm sure there's a lovely explanation for that.
I'm sure there is. And also, before Cheesehead's question, Corey Levin has pointed out it was the USS Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
The Arizona was the one that didn't make it out of Pearl Harbor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Corey's smart because he eats a lot of bacon.
He's smart because he eats extra bacon.
Extra bacon.
Yeah.
With every meal.
Which is also one of your favorite lines of Burgess Meredith, and all comes full circle. I have breakfast, bacon.
And then I drink my dinner.
Who are some up-and-coming actors who you, speaking of the John Hamm, this question that Cheesehead 1976 is asking of you, Robert. Was there a time when you stopped being Bobby and became Robert? Was that a conscious decision, or does your closest friends still call you Bobby?
I started out in school being called Mousy.
Okay.
That was my nickname all through high school, Mousy Morse.
Mousy Morse.
I then became Bobby, Robert, Mr., Sir. Hey, you.
And now you're back to
And now I'm back to whatever anyone wants to say. Anyone wants to call me Bobby or
just
Robert.
not late
or-
to dinner.
Not late to dinner, yeah.
Who are some up-and-coming actors who
Not
you
late
feel?
to dinner. I haven't heard that one since I said it.
Yeah, right.
But how did you ever hear that?
Yeah, well,
Don't call me late to dinner. Where did it come from?
whatever
I
you
wonder?
call me, I don't care what you call me, just don't call me late for
I
dinner.
wonder where that came from.
Yeah, let's
I don't
look that
know.
up.
No.
Yes, that's what the damn internet's for, my friend.
You're kidding.
Sure, we'll have that before.
Late to dinner?
Yeah.
Don't call me late to dinner.
Speaking of the John Hams, the question that's being posed from the viewing audience: who are some up-and-coming actors who you feel are on their way to being the next legend? In quote.
I have no idea. I really don't. I have no idea.
What do you think
I'm
of
not
Johnny Depp? Do you watch any of the?
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Well, gee, who's the one that just did that wonderful movie called in Boston with John Hamm?
How great was that movie?
What's the name?
The movie's called The Town.
The Town.
And Ben Affleck.
No, he's wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, Ben Affleck.
This
and
movie was a
Leonardo
revelation.
DiCaprio.
Yeah.
The other Matt Damon.
Matt Damon's fantastic.
There's some.
All the Boston boys, basically. He just
Really
picks.
is.
He
I
just
didn't
picks
know
several.
that. All the Boston
All
boys.
the Mass boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's.
I
Some,
really wish I knew more about my motion pictures and young people that are in it. I'd have to ask my 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Who really knows
Is he?
every motion picture that is opening now and who's in it and knows where they came from and what they did on Saturday Night Live
Is he a
or
big fan?
TMZ and I'm just not privy to all that information because I watch the Boston Celtics,
Yeah.
the New York Rangers hockey, and the New York Giants football, and that's about it. I don't. Maybe I'll watch Sherlock Holmes tonight.
So hockey and football, you switched over to New York teams?
It's very strange.
Yes.
It is.
Yes. Let's talk about that for a second.
Well, not
Hot
really.
second. All right, we don't have to.
I don't think anybody will. I still hold the Boston Celtics as being.
You did early television. You did some Hitchcock Presents. Was that a thing where you would show up and Hitchcock was nowhere near? He had done his bumper wraparounds and he was not a part of the process? Or were you actually...
I never met Alfred Hitchcock until I went to London to Loop. Loop, you know.
The ADR,
Every word in a motion picture I did called The Loved One.
Yes.
Every word in that movie that I am like saying to you right now was looped, meaning I went to London and matched the dialogue
entire
with
performance.
my lips moving.
Oh, God.
The entire performance.
That's hell
and
on
they
earth.
put me up at the Claridge's Hotel.
Ooh, I like this part.
Yeah, and the Claridge's Hotel,
Yeah, yeah.
young man, and there I met Alfred Hitchcock going down the. Well, they don't call
lift.
it
The lift. Coming down the lift.
Coming down the lift.
Yes.
And the lift at the Claridge's is one of these open steel things.
Yes.
You know, it doesn't have a door like that. It's all, you can see the whole
Cage. More like a cage, really.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And there was Alfred, and he said hello to me, and I said hello to him. And that was the only time. But not when I did his television show.
Right.
I don't think anybody, hardly anybody.
I figured he
think
came
he just
in.
lent his name.
Yeah. Well, he shot these wraparounds where he would come in.
Oh, yes,
He'd
he would
snub
do
his
that.
nose at the advertisers.
Whatever.
Yeah.
He would do that.
We love.
Did you find anything about
I
it?
did. It's not attributed to anyone specifically.
No?
But
However-
the phrase comes from the 30s and 40s when if you showed up late to dinner, you were the social outcast. It was very impolite to be late to dinner, and it was preferable to be called a name than be late for dinner. But apparently the phrase lost its usage starting around the 50s when, because of work schedules and other obligations, people were late to
So
dinner.
initially,
how did we lose it?
Initially,
How
it
did we
wasn't
lose it?
about being a smartass
Right.
and saying you can I don't care what you call me, just don't
Don't
call me late for dinner. It would seem like a smartass thing to me, like almost a Groucho Marx thing. But you're saying it
must be.
started.
I think
with,
we should bring it back because I can't even get people to RSVP to things, let alone show up on time. Let's bring it back.
Speaking of Corey Levin,
No, Corey shows up.
not important.
I'm bringing it back.
Sir, can you believe we've been chatting for an hour and how many? I can't. It's almost 2 hours.
Can I go home?
First guest to ask.
It's an hour and
Can I go
53
home?
minutes.
Can I go home
Yes,
now?
you may. You
I
may.
Right if you get work. Hang by your thumbs.
I didn't want to make too much of a thing, but honestly and truly, your early work when I was young and saw it truly affected, and if not informed, my passion that lives to this day. And it is a true honor to have met you and got to know you just a little bit previously, but certainly today, and sharing as much as you have with us today.
Well, that's very much appreciated. As I said before, one never knows who touches you.
Yeah.
When I was young, I had so many feelings like that about certain actors that I saw on the stage or met along the way or saw in a movie, and later on got to meet them.
Yeah.
Like we meet.
Yeah.
And so we pass on a great heritage.
Yeah.
A great.
And you do.
Well, we do it to others too. You know, that look up to.
Like I do to Sam. Actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I do to Sam.
Please, you gentlemen. I do to you.
Well, because Sam will be sitting here someday, and someday someone will say, Sam, you don't know what you meant to me when I saw you sitting in the corner of that studio.
He doesn't believe that now.
No, I know what I meant to them. Trust me.
Sammy doesn't believe that now.
But thank you. No, but
Truly
this
and
is
honestly.
This is absolute, Kevin, this is a wonderful chat, a wonderful show, and it's a great opportunity to come and talk. Like television or radio, or when you have this opportunity, because so much is fast and glib when you go on a show. It's like goodbye, ladies and gentlemen, the band, and nice to talk to you, and it's hard. This is nice. You get to, in a way, get to know a little bit about somebody, their clothing, or their what they wear, or their look, or their or the way they are, and you take it from there. So it's a pleasure being here.
Oh, good.
And as far as who is that guy with the glasses?
Larry King.
Larry King.
Yeah.
There's something you don't know about him that I do know. That he has never told.
Would you like to share that now?
Yes, I did.
There's your camera.
Ladies and gentlemen, Larry King came up to me when I was in Mad Men and said, you know those straps you wear for your pants? I want a pair from Mad Men. So I gave him these big red straps that I wear, and he wears them on the set to this day.
Is that right?
And I gave him a bow tie, and he wears the bow tie. Next time you see Larry, know that he's a madman in disguise.
Lovely.
So personal.
Yes.
I love
Completely and utterly personal.
What am I supposed to say now? Something?
Well, that wasn't the Larry King game. That was the Larry King precursor.
Oh, no.
The Larry King game. There's a moment when Larry's on the air doing his show where he chooses to share something about himself.
I thought I just did
You shared something about yourself.
No, that Larry...
That was Larry?
That was...
Larry gave you suspenders?
Larry talked to me
Well, then
about
go to the phones.
what I want to wear are your suspenders.
Did he really?
So he wears my suspenders.
All right, then all you have to do...
And my bow tie. That's his secret. He doesn't tell people that he got that clothing from wardrobe.
Son of a bitch.
He doesn't say, I got that from Robert Morse.
No.
Because I interviewed him
Yeah.
20, 30, 40 years ago in Miami.
In Miami?
Before
He stole it from you.
he
is what you're
started.
saying. Well, then
No,
thank
I don't
you.
know. Whatever you want to do.
No. That's beautiful. That's
It's enough,
beautiful.
Larry King. isn't it?
Did you do Larry's show in Miami? I remember his.
Actually, I did dinner theater.
Yeah.
You know, we all did. Many of us did dinner theater.
in the day.
Yeah, after you had a Broadway show, or after you had to, and if you had a family, which I did,
Yeah.
you had to go out and make money. You could make $7,500 a week.
You better believe it.
In each city that you would stay for 8 weeks, and you were in Miami doing a show.
Yeah.
And the press agent at the time would say, go over to Larry King's tonight at midnight.
Yeah.
And that was before Larry King was Larry King. Don't get me wrong. He was well loved.
Yes.
I mean, everybody knew him in the area, probably around the country. I don't know where he was carried,
Right.
but everybody knew it. You do Larry King show in
Huge.
Miami?
He was huge.
He was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, every comic,
Yeah.
everybody who came through Miami would want to do Larry King, and I still would love to do Larry King.
Yeah.
But I don't know what I'd talk about.
Well, he would find something. Thank you so much again.
Well, thank you.
Yes, God bless.
All right.
And we'll see you on the set next season, sir.
I hope so.
I spoke to Nostradamus. It's a lock.
I spoke to Larry
You
King.
never know.
I spoke to Larry King. All right. Now
The
I'll
Sopranos.
no, there'll be no shooting of Bert Cooper. Now sit there uncomfortably if you don't mind, sir. One last moment while I say goodbye to the fine folks sitting around their computers all over the world. Our fine crew outside these hallowed walls have been working very, very diligently, coming up on an hour, 58 minutes. I have to wonder if, in fact, they've been up to something themed with today's guest in mind, perchance. What would that be?
And that's the story of the Headless Horseman.
I gotta be honest, that's not really that scary.
Dude, it is horrifying. How is that not scary? It's a dude without a head, and he's a pumpkin instead of a head.
It scares me!
Yeah, Elena's scared.
Oh, wait, to be continued, because we have our Halloween show next week.
This is getting out of hand.
It's a setup for cliffhanger.
Crew gag cliffhanger.
Crew gag cliffhanger, that's a first.
That is wonderful.
I
You have
tip.
to wait 9 months like Mad Men.
No, we better not have to wait 9 months. Next week, my guest, Jason Alexander. Some great shows coming up with,
Who's this Jason Alexander?
I know, right? Joel McHale and, oh gosh, I always forget who.
Leonard Maltin.
Leonard Maltin.
Balfour.
Eric Balfour. Who's the one on the 7th that's great? I'm all excited about. Oh, from West Wing. I can't believe I forgot his
Allison
name.
Janney. No, Bradley Whitford.
Bradley Whitford on November 7th. Very, very excited about it. Loved him for a very long time. And we just got the lovely Andy Richter for the December the 3rd week. Lots of great shows. Keep your eye on the schedule and watch for the big news. Hopefully next show. The big news. Hopefully next show. And
When I'll be taking over your
when
spot.
Robert Morse starts guest hosting and then ultimately hosting Kevin Pollak's chat show. Until then, as always, go Giants.
What the?
He's all of the rainbows, but none of the rain. He's dry, but he's an alcoholic. He's hosting this train wreck again and again, and he wears a hat. He's carrying